Hey everybody, welcome to the real United States and welcome to Central Michigan. We are in the great state of Michigan in the city of Midland. And just as the name suggests, we are, well, roughly the center of the lower peninsula of Michigan. And so if you look at the map and you look right about the center, you're going to find Midland. Now, Midland, that name may or may not ring a bell to you. I don't know much about the history of the formation of Midland, but I can tell you that the reason that Midland has grown to the size that it is, and the reason it exists today, is because it is home, or, well, predominantly home, to Dow Chemical Company. And Dow, of course, a huge corporation that manufactures all kinds of different chemical products. Well, their operations here in Midland are the reason this town is as big as it is. And there are some nice features here, like the Dow Gardens. I'll put a link in the description down below. It's a kind of a beautiful place that we're hoping to get to visit real soon and do a video for you. But anyway, that is the significance for this episode about Midland. But the reason we're here is because of the river runs through it, as it were. And that is the river you see behind me, which is the Tittabawassee River. I'll put that on the screen. Yeah, it might be a little challenging to pronounce, but not impossible. And it actually is pronounced just like it's spelled if you go through it syllable by syllable. It's the Tittabawassee River. Interestingly enough, at the time that this area was first settled, it wasn't called that. Well, depending on how you quantify settled. Before Michigan became a state, this was actually the Tiffin River, Tiffin. And it was named for Edward Tiffin. Okay, who the heck was Edward Tiffin? Well, at the time that this area was surveyed by the federal government, Edward Tiffin was the Surveyor General of the United States. So when this was surveyed, the Native American name, Tittabawassee, was supplanted, and the river was named after the Surveyor General, Edward Tiffin. Okay, that seems reasonable, right? Yeah, it does, but there has been a long-standing rivalry between Michigan and our neighboring comrades in Ohio, in the Buckeye State, the Wolverine State and the Buckeye State. Well, Edward Tiffin, actually, born in England, by the way, not a native-born American, but he, as a young man, as a youth actually, became an apprentice to a medical practitioner. And right towards the end of his apprenticeship, his family emigrated from England to Virginia. And in that year, Tiffin, the year later, he started practicing medicine at the ripe old age of 17, which in the, the 1700s was not an unheard of thing. So he then later, about 6 years later, he married and they moved to Ohio. And there were no other doctors in the area where he settled. So he traveled far and wide on horseback, treating the sick, the ill, the infirmed. Well liked as far as all that. And he was active in politics. Okay, well, doctor, well-to-do, yada yada, became active in politics again. Rather common thing at the time. So, ultimately in 1803, when Ohio gained statehood, Tiffin became the first governor of the state of Ohio. And he served one term, served admirably as far as I know, and then later went on to the United States Senate as a senator from Ohio. But he only served 2 years. because his wife passed away, and he left the Senate and came home when his wife died. And he was heartbroken. At some point after that, Tiffin was then appointed to the Surveyor General of the Northwest Territory, which is what this area was called at that time in the first decade of the 19th century. So that was how he became such a prominent figure, and the river became named for it. Well, when the settlers started settling Michigan, now this is, again, prior to his statehood, Michigan didn't become a state until, 1836. So they didn't like the name Tiffin for their river. I mean, so if you think that the 21st century is the home to butthurt, no, it's not. They've always been that amongst society. So they didn't like it. So they reverted to calling it by its Native American name, Tittabawassee, which, interestingly enough, just means river that runs around the shore. And the reason for that is because as the Tittabawassee comes southeast across the state of Michigan, it kind of wraps around what is Saginaw Bay. And another interesting thing, if you saw our episode on the Muskegon River, is it comes down, this is no joke, it runs into the city of Saginaw and dumps into the Saginaw River in Saginaw County into the Saginaw Bay. So not a lot of originality in naming things there either. But anyway, that is how this name started with a Native American name, became an anglicized name, and then the settlers didn't like that and they decided to revert back. So here in the Midwest, where we weren't necessarily always holding on to names of Civil War generals or not Civil War, I'm sorry, Revolutionary War generals or politicians or whatnot, we would sometimes revert back to the Native American names, and that's why you find a lot of things here in Michigan have these Native American or Native American sounding names. So anyway, I hope you found that interesting. I hope that if you got questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section down below. I love hearing from all of you. I try to get back to everybody I can. If you're new here, hey, consider clicking subscribe and come along for the adventure because we got lots more to show you. And as always, folks, well, thank you for watching.